So the next thing I'm going to do is to add layers on top of the panels where the script demands it. Number one is the blood squirting from Stark's wound, and I'll try to animate that. Number two is the stones glowing in Thanos's fist. The number three is the stone floating in Doctor Strange's hand, and then a smaller stone that would actually float from one side of this panoramic frame to the other side. So I'll start off with the blood. So the question is where to insert this blood. I believe it's in the third edit of the of this main panel. Now, if I put the blood in here, it would appear, and as you can see, edit 3 here, then the frame would appear. So we probably want the frame to appear first before the blood appears. So we want to place it after this layer, but we don't want the weight, so we'll take the weight off and put it on the blood. So at this point we're going to add an image layer and go to that blood file. Again, this is a PNG file, and it's a transparent PNG 24, has full color, but if you export the file with a blank layer underneath, you get transparency. So export it in an oversized dimension. What we want to do is size it down using the anchors. Because it's small, we can use the anchors very easily. So that fits. You can see there's two blood marks, one at the entry and one at the exit. So this is where it's going to end up at. So I want to copy those to the end dimensions and position. So right now, if I just leave it as is, it'll just appear. But I want to add a little bit of animation. So at the start, what I'm going to do is take off the lock aspect ratio, and what this does is that these two are not sized in proportion anymore, the width and height. So when I grab the anchors, I can actually squeeze it a bit, so I can have it squirt out, so it's a bit of animation there. So right now I don't have any duration, so in which case if I did that it would just appear. So I want to add in, let's say, 0.5 seconds, no delay, because I want this frame to appear first and then have this happen. Maybe at the beginning I wanted to have it at 0.5, so at a 0.5 opacity, so it appears like it's fading in. And you can do this, you can choose an ease to your liking, but I prefer the ease in and out. And then I'll put in a weight. Now if I go back and look at what's happening here, so yeah, these two happen at the same time. The layer moves to the right panel position, the frames come in, and then the blood squirts out. We can preview that, see if it's working. Yeah, so we can see that it happened a little bit too slow, blood squirts a little faster. So maybe 0.2 seconds. Yeah, so that's about right. So the next one I want to add is the glove, the stones in the glove glowing. I believe that's edit number 4. But again, I don't want to put it after this frame because I want the frame, the black frames to appear first. So I'm going to click on this layer. I'm going to take off the weight and then add the image, which is the glow. It's uploading. So it's going to be a lot bigger. So we want to size it with the lock aspect ratio on, so that it sizes in proportion. This is going to be tricky. I think in the future upgrades we have to figure out some tool to help size this right. One trick you can do is to, because the start and end is at a different position, I'm going to copy the position and size to the end, and then at the start I'm just going to move it out of the way so that when I click the end I can see how well it fits. So I think it moves over a bit. That's close enough. And I'll copy the end position and size to the beginning. And so I want this to fade in. Probably 0.5. This might go to duration. And the start opacity should be 0. And I'm going to choose it, fade in and out, and then add a weight after. So I want to, depending if I have any text after that, I want to remove this after a click so it doesn't persist for the other panels. Which reminds me, I should do that for the blood squirt too. Depending on how much, if any text comes after this, it might be like a 2-click before it is removed. Let's preview it. So at this point, I'm gonna add that that time stone into Doctor Strange's hand, and I believe it's edit number 6. As you can see, it's a close-up, so I'm gonna. And there's actually no frame, so this is the right layer to add the stone, that transparent image layer to. So you can see the stone is a bit too large, so I'm going to scale it down a bit. And so what I want to do is actually make it bob up and down as if it was floating. So it's a neat little trick again, especially for objects that are flying. I'm going to copy the dimensions of the start position and size to the end, but at the end I'm going to actually adjust the position, the Y position, which is up and down. If I go down, if I click here, it moves up, and if you can see that it's if I click on the start and end, it actually goes up and down, but it's going to be smoother than that. I'm going to say a duration of 1 second between for each move, and to actually loop that action, you use a repeat of -1 and do an auto reverse so that it goes up and then reverses and goes back down, up and down, and vice versa. I'll use ease in and out, and this is important, actually, ease in and out for this type of action, because you don't want it to look jerky. You want it to be smooth up and smooth down. And I'll put in a weight. I think I've got everything here. Yeah, I've got the weight, and I want to remove it after 1 second, 1 click, I mean. So you can see I already took out the weight on the previous layer, so this will happen automatically, and then the weight would come in. Now let's preview it. There's a blood squirt. The stones light up. There you go. And then you go back to that one. So the last layer I want to add is this this last panel, where it's a panoramic panel where I'm going to actually pan over, but I want the stone in his hand to actually pan with the camera movement. So I'm going to go to that action layer and add in that small stone. It's probably going to be the right size. And I'm going to move it into position over his hand. And I'm actually gonna have it just appear as the camera moves down to him. So I am gonna add a weight after that. Oops, I forgot the copy over the. This is very important. Copy over the position and the size. So what I want to do is, so the camera's going to pan down to this panel, and then the stone is just there. What I want to do is actually, after the weight, is to pan the this panel over to the left and have the stone pan as well. So what I'm going to do is click on this on the base layer and then add a transition, which would add a transition at the top of the layer of the action layer stack. And it's created. If I, this is edit number 5 here, you can see it's right at the top after the weight. Click on it again, and we're just going to physically move it over to Thanos here, and I am going to check the position, X position, the X position. Actually, no, the Y position. The Y position at the start is 1789. Sorry, 1788. It should be the same at the end, so I'm gonna adjust it so it actually moves horizontally without going up and down. And I'll make it a 2-second pan. Alright, and do ease in and out. And before I do anything else, I am going to move the stone at the same time. Alright, so I'm gonna, it's to do a transition again, you have to set the start and end input values, and then this would show up. Okay. Now I want to move the end position into Thanos's hand. Right, so I'm just going to move it over there. This is where Doctor Strange's hand would be at the beginning of the move, and this is where it would end up there. And if you remember, it was a 2-second duration, ease in and out, and I want a negative delay, -2, so that it happens at the same time as the background move. And I'll add a weight here. Let's take a look at the layer stack. Yeah, so that's about right. So let's preview that. So if I click it, both, as you can see, it moves right into his hand.